Right, let's get stuck into it because you've got some news on the Blues.
Yeah, well, yesterday we spoke about coaches re-signing, and Matty Nixie threw at me, and our general conversation was, well, if he's the right guy, why would you wait? Or in more in line with your keeping and a Luke Beveridge conversation, what the rush? Why is there a rush? So we have a difference of opinion on this, and interestingly, on a timing front. So Michael Voss at the Blues. Now, Michael is out of contract at the end of this year. This is his final year of a 3-year deal. He's set to be rewarded for a new contract in the coming weeks, Kane, is my information. So Carlton's still hunting that drought-breaking premiership. They think Vossi is their man. So it would be a 2-year contract extension. It's seen as a priority down at Icon Park at the moment, and talks on this will ramp up after Carlton Chiefs return from their Christmas break. They did start last year between club and coach. They progressed steadily, but then the holiday period obviously has intervened. So, barring any sort of unexpected New Year snag, these two parties are going to agree on a commitment that will see Voss remain at the helm until the end of 2026.
So it's right on cue because we spoke about Longmuir and Nix yesterday, and I sort of said, what's the rush in both of those? You could wait until the halfway point of the year with where those two teams are at. This is different. This is absolutely the right call from the Blues to reward Michael Voss with a contract extension before round one.
Well, hang on though. Look, I'll play devil's advocate. Is it though? Because you have got a season of halves here. One absolutely diabolical situation where they're 4 wins, 8 losses. They're 15th after round 15. Mm-hmm. And then they embark on a 9-match winning streak. They win 2 finals. We know the story. They get to the prelim. So, devil's advocate, but why would you believe the latter more than the former?
Because of the history. There's so many factors into this. The history of the club and the instability that has been there. 9 coaches in 20 years. He's 24-19 in his 2 seasons. He's 11-2 in his last 13, and he led by 5 goals in a prelim final. And if you look at any premiership contender, and they are a genuine premiership contender, Carlton, like they are one of 6 teams who can win the premiership this year. Very rarely would a genuine contender go into a season with a coach's future up in the air. And that's what it would be. Now, Luke Sayers said in May after that start that Vossi will absolutely be the coach until at least the end of 2024. This is the right time to do that. This guy has proven himself that he can coach. And he has all the pieces of the playing puzzle there. Clearly, the players behind him and are playing for him. We saw that in the second half of the year. And to go in with his future up in the air somewhat for a year that they can genuinely win the premiership would be the wrong thing. And 2 years is perfect. 2 years is now. If I was Michael Voss, I'd want some performance clauses in there that would extend that out by more than 2 years if we reach some certain benchmarks, prelim final or a grand final, or if you win it, he's going to be fine. But Blues fans, 1300 736 736. I think this is absolutely the right time to extend Michael Voss. Different scenario to Luke Beveridge 12 months ago. Different scenario right now to Longmuir and Nix. Into his 3rd season with what he has done and what they did at the back half and their potential this year, to sign him up right now is the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some particulars to work out in the contract, the fine print if you like, but there's every expectation that this will be tidied up well and truly before the start of the season. So Carlton's opening round assignment, they start where they ended last year. So they're up March 8, Brisbane at the Gabba, the newly created opening round. So should be done well and truly before then. I guess the turnaround is extraordinary though, from where he sat to where he is now, and the stability that I guess Brian Cook was able to engineer coming in. And even Jacob Wiedering is said to have had a major say behind the scenes from the players' point of view in terms of, mate, we've got you back here. There's no dissatisfaction from us. We know. Now, so that just put him at ease as well. I don't think at any stage last year, despite the world seemingly caving in around him, did Michael Voss feel like his position was under threat. So he's about to be rewarded 2026, bit of stability for the Blues right off the top.
And I think the thing that impresses me about Michael Voss is, so put the playing aspect to the side as much as you'd like. What he has done in his coaching career from the time at Brisbane to then going and working on all areas. He did that. It's a great lesson for anyone who wants to get back into coaching. We see Danny Laidley putting her hand up to get back in. Well, there's so many other areas that you've got to go back. You've got to start as a development coach. Then you go to look at the midfield, the back line. Vossi's done leadership consulting. He sat in the box. He sat on the bench. and now he's got his own team again. And the adversity that they faced last year and the leadership that he showed in turning that around, I think he's absolutely, as we know, made of the right stuff. I think he's going to be Carlton's coach for well beyond 2026. He could be a 10-year coach at the Blues. That's the path that he's on. So it's the right call. Interested in your thoughts and your feedback. 0433 98 11 16 Blues fans.
Yeah, well, let's do that. Josh is on the line in Sunbury. We'll take him now. Joshy, welcome.
Morning, boys. How are we?
We're well. Fire when ready.
Yes, I'm a long-term suffer in Carlton sport. I think last year, I reckon I watched that Melbourne game over about 20 times. But I could not be happier with Michael Voss. You know, we discussed yesterday the fact that those two coaches in Nix and Longview haven't done much, and really Voss hasn't either in terms of winning. But what I did love last year and where he won me over was during that time, I think it was round 13 when we lost Essendon. Usually around that time you start hearing rumours of dissatisfaction amongst the playing group, fractures within the coaching group. Not once throughout last year during that time did you hear players being unhappy. It was a united club, and I just think that the way he is, he's such a people's person. I could not be happier with that man leading our club. So hopefully we give him a 2-year extension and let's hope he takes us to the promised land.
Josh, what's a pass mark?
In all honesty, grand final. Not winning it, but making it.
Oh, that's a high bar, isn't it?
It is, but man, you got to go one further. They're not alone. We discussed
a lot has to go right.
I think there's probably 8 teams where a pass mark is to make a grand final. So a tough benchmark to set, but I think this gives them the best opportunity to do that. Yep. I mean, stable footy clubs. Yep. This is the concern over the Bulldogs. You look back on who's won premierships and the stability around their club. Like even Brisbane, how stable they've been. They've had that group of coaches for a long time, and the administration is so set. Collingwood, how stable they were. Geelong, and all the premiership teams are stable. And Brian Cook's been there for a little bit now. Sayers is the same. Brad Lloyd's been there. Andrew Russell, the high performance boss, has been there. So the stability now that Carlton have finally got, I think you'd be crazy to.
But that's what the Dogs are. That's what the Dogs sought to do with Bevo. Stability.
But how could you say that the Dogs are stable? They've got a whole new group of assistants. Who knows?
No, but changes had to be made. But what with this review, though, we don't need to go back over it all now. But they've made significant change already, as we said.
You think the Dogs are stable heading into 2024? They haven't even handed down the review findings yet.
No, I'm not saying that at all. But you're saying it's great that Carlton have re-signed Michael Voss because it's a sign of stability and things can be stable. But when they re-signed Luke Beveridge, you decided that wasn't a sign of stability, or in fact the wrong.
Because the evidence was there that they weren't stable.
But they led a grand final by 4 goals. You talk about Carlton leading a prelim by 5 goals.
What did they lose that by?
Yeah, I know, but the man can coach.
That adds to the story that the man.
The Blues got touched up in the end too.
He cannot stop run-ons, and that's been there for so long, and that was the case. He does not know what to do when sides kick multiple goals against him. And
so do you sack him or get people around him to help him?
I just don't think you needed to extend him when they did. And
right.
Would they have re-signed Luke Beveridge if he came in to this year out of contract? Would they have re-signed him last year, do you think?
So the review, they've made, 8 changes to staff, 8 changes to players. The review's not going to reveal anything bigger than that. The review is more of a process-driven thing as opposed to an individual personnel hold-on job sort of thing. But we'll await the findings of that, of course. We've got to get to hold me to a Kane, which is the whole point of it.
Surely.
The whole point of this, and your baby.
We got a fancy little stinger that we've
I
created.
don't think we've got. As we're going in raw.
Still on holidays back there, are they?
Come on, Coxie. No, well, this is the terms of engagement.
Mel Gibson. There we go.
Oh no, you cannot play that. I did ask for a bit of William Wallace. Actually, I wanted a bit of hold.
That's what I was going to say. Braveheart. All right. So I just gave you a teaser the other day. Now, these are our opinions that you can hold us to it and we'll be proven right or wrong, and we're happy to cop it. So I'm saying Ash Barty will play again. And I touched on that. Retired in 2022.
That's
3
big.
Grand Slams. Ash Barty will play again. Hold me to that.
That's big. I will hold you to that. You can hold me to this. The Gold Coast Suns are going to play finals for the first time in their history. And Damien Hardwick's first season as coach, Ben King, back to life.
Soft draw.
the academy kids, the soft draw, Took Miller fit all year. Their 14th season, I think it is. They've knocked a couple of times and then faded. This is the year they make it. The new toys make it.
Hold you to that.
To the top 8.
Definitely hold you to that. Hold me to this. Hawthorn will finish above Richmond.
Hawthorn will finish above Richmond. Okay.
And
Yes.
Essendon will finish above St Kilda. So hold me to those two, Sammy.
Oh, the latter one intrigues me.
Yeah.
What are you basing that on? Just a vibe, a feel?
They've just got more weapons than what the Saints have had, and the players seem finally hungry to me, and they've had enough. So the Bombers to finish above the Saints.
Oh, well, Mark's in South Melbourne. He wanted to talk about the Saints next, or this season coming up. Mark, welcome.
G'day, Kane.
Yes.
I'll have a bet. I'll wash your car in the middle of Linton Street Oval with a toothbrush.
What?
I'll tell you why St Kilda are going to be the big improvers, and hear me out here. Last year, their two main forwards played 7 and 10 games between them. So that's another 30 to 40 goals plus. You were complaining that they were not going to make the 8. They went out and recruited Pace, Henry, and Paddy Dow. They're quality players. You have a look at the kids that played last year. I'll give you one. Windhagen. He basically was in and out of the side. I can tell you mentally, they turned around and said to him, you want to be at this place, get fit, and we'll give you the legendary jumper of number 2 that was Danny Frawley. They've got the best, second best.
All right, Mark, I'm hearing you. You're all in. Made the finals last year. You're saying they're the big improver. Where does that lead them in 2024? And I'll hold you to this.
I will say the top 4, definitely. And I've taken them at $41 to win the premiership. And I've been following them all my life. And just remember, they had no 25 to 30-year-old players last year. Most of them were injured.
All right.
Watch this
All right,
space.
Mark. Well, if the Saints make the top 4, I'll return the favour. I'll wash your car with a toothbrush.
Oh, I'm holding him to that.
Wearing a Saints Guernsey and
Oh.
Saints shorts and
Send
socks.
back the emoji thumbs up.
All right,
We'll move on.
that's the deal, but I like it. We'll hold you to that, and I'm happy to wash your car with a toothbrush if they do finish inside the top 4. Couple others.
Deliver. Hold me to us, by the way. 1300 736 736
All
like
right,
Mark.
Tom Lynch from Richmond will kick under 30 goals in 2024. Under 30 goals.
Why?
He's just started running on an Ultra G treadmill. He's not even running on grass yet. He's saying that he's going to start running on grass later this month. 4 games in 2023. The guy's 31. He had surgery back in July, so I'm not sure how significant this surgery must have been if he's not even running yet. We know his history with injury. Going to be a rough year, unfortunately, for Richmond and Tom Lynch. So he'll kick under 30 goals in 2024. Has that been understated? Like surgery in July.
It's been covered a lot, but
No, I understand, but has the opinion around the concerns over it been covered? Because I'm going, well, a pre-season is so important to every footballer, particularly if you're coming off a season where you played 4 games and have had surgery way back in July, and they bit the bullet on that and did it early, and he's still running on an Ultra G, it's hard to say, treadmill, which is where they take the weight off. You go in this suit, and you can set the percentage that you want to run at. So if you want to run at 80% of your body weight, it lifts you up a little bit and takes the pressure off. They're a great invention. They're amazing, and all clubs would have one. And he's saying he's going to be running on grass later, but he's going to be fit for round 1. I can't see there's any way that he's fit for round 1. You got another hold me to it?
Brodie Grundy. Yes. Brodie Grundy is going to be a huge hit in Sydney. And in fact, you can hold me to this. He'll be in All-Australian contention deep in the season.
Squad? All-Australian squad? Can I hold you to
definitely
that?
in the 40.
In the 40.
In the 40. It's going to work up there. And he is going to pilot a reinvigorated engine room at the SCG.
All right, hold me to this. Chris Scott to be the next coach of Brisbane.
When?
Don't know.
These are our 2024. Hold me to it.
No,
June or August or
whenever the time is that Brisbane get a new coach.
Wow.
Chris Scott will be that coach of Brisbane. Chris
You've
Fagan's
buried the
62.
lead there.
He's signed a 2-year contract extension, which was well deserved. But I think the next coach of Brisbane will be Chris Scott.
Jeez. Okay. Hold me to this. Justin Longmuir doesn't survive the year.
Wow.
Out of contract. So in the Fox, I read something on Fox Sports on this. In the last 5 seasons, 11 teams have made changes. So an average of 3, with an average of 3 a year. So that's not just sacking, that's resignation as well, but it's all in the coaching change landscape. So by the law of averages, it's hard to see him surviving given the circumstances. Freo coming off a horrific trade period. They've lost more talent than they've brought in the short term. Okay, they got 2 future firsts.
Does that give him an
That's
out?
not going to help him. That's not going to help him this year. That's not going to help him this year when you lose Henry and Schultz again. This after Mundy, Lobb, Akers, Tucker, Logue, Meek, the list goes on.
But how many were his fault? Do you blame him for that?
But he's beholden to the win-loss. And these clearly affect the win-loss. So Luke Jackson comes in great. It's an older story now, but they gave up plenty. And that trade is horrific in its aftermath. So O'Meara's best footy behind him. They lost that depth. Say what you want about Lobb, but they wanted to keep him. Akers was Carlton's best finals player. So he's coached 4 years, 12th in a COVID year in 2020, 11th in 21, 5th in 22. Now, that was good. A first finals berth since 2015. They won a final. Last year, they're 14th. The club's 5-year plan called for last year to be a top 4 finish, and they were fully expecting success, and they were open about that. So the inquest must have been significant. So out of contract, and even being an optimist, you'd have to say the ice is thin for Justin Longmuir. That stodgy ball movement that we saw in the first part of the season, that better not return.
You paint a good case, and it's hard to argue with any of that. I wonder, and it'll be interesting, obviously the performance will dictate that, but how much the losses of those players and the list management factor into that. And are they really rock solid and go, no, hang on, we're loaded in the draft for the end of this year and we can make some moves and we think this is the coach. He's shown that he can take us to the finals and win a final, and we'll give him another 2 years. That will be the discussion, but you're right. You're not going to rush into re-signing him now, as we discussed yesterday. I like it. That is a bold one, Justin Longmuir, to not see out the year. Now, everyone's going to do top 50 lists, player top 50 lists. Like they'll do them pre-season, they'll do them mid-season, they'll do them post-season. Hold me to this, that by the end of season 2024, Ben Ainsworth will be included in everyone's top 50. Now, the young Gold Coast small forward, he's finished top 10 in their best and fairest the last 2 seasons. This guy is good. This guy is a gun, and I've read that he's going to spend more time up the field. He's spoken to AFL.com about that. Damien Hardwick's game plan, I think, will suit him. They'll play a bit faster. Think Tom Papley in the role that they should use him, and top 50 player on the cusp of All-Australian squad at the end of this year. Ben Ainsworth, hold me to that.
Stephen, I like it. What about Sam Draper? Where's he at? Hold me to it, says Steve. Draper plays less than 10 games this year. I hope that's not the case, Steve, for Essendon supporters' sakes. Billy's in Ascot Vale before we get to the newsroom. Hi, Bill.
Yeah, morning, gents. Yeah, just quickly, 2 quick things about the Dogs. Winning the flag unexpectedly, has that been their downfall? Because they've really gone downhill since that flag. And secondly, if Bont or Liver get serious injuries this year, I don't think they'll make the top 8.
Hold you to that, you reckon, Bill?
Oh, any time you lose a player like the Bont, it's going to leave a huge hole. That goes without saying. Just before we get to the newsroom, just one more for you. Hawthorn and Sydney, hold me to this, will make headlines for an extraordinary contract offer for Jamari Ugle-Hagan that will shock with its length and shock with its value, and the Dogs will have to pay full freight to keep him, which I think they will do, albeit he'll have to stay for less, because I think those offers from Hawthorn and Sydney, when they come to light, will be enormous.
So an offer too good to refuse, or you think he will refuse that and stay?
Dogs clearly have been planning.
There may be an offer too good to refuse.
It could be, but I think he'll stay for less. I think there's no reason at the moment to think otherwise. But I think the contract offers from Hawthorn and Sydney are going to be absolutely
we saw
momentous.
What happened with Norton.
And so they should be, because this guy,
footballer than Norton,
he is going to be one of the best forwards, if not the best forward in the game, I think, in a few years. Hold me to it, Kane Corns. Steve's in Lilydale. In fact, just before we get to Steve, this one dropped from Chris. Hold me to this. Errol Goulden will win the Brownlow before the Bont. Isn't nice. Nice claim from Chris.
I've touched on that before, but if you looked at the young players that got Brownlow votes, so those midfielders under 24, 23, Butters, Goulden, Horne-Francis, McCluggage, we're stacked.
Yeah.
Dacos.
Yeah.
You know, so they can't all win it, you wouldn't think, but one of those will win it next year, you reckon, and they may win multiple.
David, he wants to be held to the fact that Ash Johnson's going to kick 50-plus goals at Collingwood without Dan McStay and lead the goal kicking at the Pies. Don't mind it, David. Steve's in Lilydale, as we said, though. He's got a take on the Crows. How are you, Stevie?
I'm good, thank you, Samuel. Hope you're well. Hi, Kane. Hope you're well.
Hello, old mate.
Kane, hello, mate. I'm going to come over and hold me to this. I'm going to come over and cut your grass with scissors, Kane. Hold me to this. Mighty Adelaide Crows will win. This is not a big one. Adelaide will win both showdowns and make finals, but we win showdowns anyway. We won 3 of the last 4. But this is the big one. Hold me to this one. Port Adelaide will have such a bad year that Kane might actually have to have a negative opinion of Port Power. And I think that one, that's the big one. That's the big one that the jury's out on.
Oh, shots fired there.
I'll hold you to that. So when are you going to cut my grass with scissors? If Adelaide don't make the 8?
Yeah, if Adelaide don't make the 8, lock me in, Kane. I'm coming over with scissors.
It's a big,
All right,
it's
Steve.
a big
There you
lawn.
go.
It's
So
the
you'll have your
biggest-
car washed with a toothbrush. I hope you're a patient man over there. These things aren't going to be done quickly, Kane. Dale's down in Hobart. How are you, Dale?
Morning, boys. How are you?
We're good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Cricket hold me to it. South Australia's Nathan McSweeney will be Australia's next Test captain.
Oh, next.
Love it. Bold. Well,
Next, Dale. After Paddy Cummins, next.
Yeah, I think so. I think Cummins will do the Indian tour series next year and then the home Ashes, and you can see that they're grooming McSweeney already with the second 11 captaincy. So I just don't think anyone in the Test team now is going to be a long-term option. I think it'll be someone from the outside, and McSweeney's definitely one of the best middle order batsmen we've got at the moment, and he's young enough, so I think he'll be certainly looked at for future leadership role.
Good one, Dale. Fantastic contribution from you, and you're living in a fine part of the world down there in Hobart.
I got one more for you, or a couple more. Nick Kyrgios will never get inside the top 30 in the world again.
Some have him not returning to the court.
Hold me to that. So his highest ranking was 13. He's 28. His last win on tour was well over a year ago, and I just don't think this guy's coming back in any meaningful way.
And that's a shame, isn't it? I think it's
a real shame. Yeah, because I don't rate the guy or the athlete, but I loved watching him.
This isn't a popular hold me to it, but I think this year will be the last year of a day grand final. And if it doesn't come in twilight in 2025 and the first year of the new broadcast deal, which is a trigger for these sort of things, I would be absolutely staggered. So Andrew Dillon, first year in, fine. Let's not ruffle too many feathers. But then when the broadcast deal comes in for the money that it's coming in for, and I know we've said this before, but it's inevitable, and I think this will be the last one for the nostalgia.
It's a good hold me to it, that one.